He didn't even flinch when the spit hit his face. The older man just stood there, slumped from the weight of years and war, soaked by light rain, his jacket frayed at the sleeves and his fingers trembling slightly as they clutched a handful of tarnished medals. Across from him, sharp and pristine in his designer suit, the CEO stood on the steps of his mansion with a sneer, shaking his head as if the presence of this man was some kind of insult. "Your stupid medals can't buy you water," the executive snapped with contempt, his voice raised just enough for the security team on the lawn to hear. A few guards shifted awkwardly, unsure if they should intervene, but it was clear from their silence that the humiliation had already been authorized. The veteran said nothing. His eyes, dulled by fatigue but still heavy with unspoken memories, dropped to the ground. He hadn't come here for pity. He didn't want money. What he wanted was simple: a glass of water, maybe a warm word. He had served beside the man who now stood so confidently above him, back when both of them wore the same uniform, back when they swore they'd never forget what it meant. But one of them had built his empire and buried the past. The other had carried it. The CEO stepped forward, shoes gleaming, voice cutting. "I built this," he said, gesturing to the lavish estate behind him. "You chose your path. Now get off my lawn before I have you removed." The medals clinked gently in the veteran's hand as he slowly turned away. One was a bronze star for valor under fire. One was a purple heart for wounds sustained in the Helmand province. There was no audience, no camera, no standing ovation when he earned them, just blood, dirt, and the silence of survival. He took a step forward, then another, his limp obvious but steady. The spit still glistened on his cheek, and not once did he wipe it away. And then it started. A low vibration in the air, faint at first, but growing steadily. The CEO glanced up, annoyed by the sudden sound cutting through the still afternoon. "What now?" he muttered. Seconds later, the sound became unmistakable, rotor blades slicing through the sky. The trees swayed, the flags on the property snapped to attention, a Blackhawk helicopter thundered over the treetops and descended, fast, deliberate, and unannounced, kicking up wind and debris as it approached the estate. The guards scrambled. The CEO backed up in shock, shouting over the noise, "What is this? Who called them?" The Blackhawk didn't hesitate. It landed directly on the pristine lawn, flattening the tulip beds and shattering the silence. Before the rotors even slowed, the side door slid open, and a black-clad officer jumped out, flanked by two armed soldiers. They moved with purpose, bypassing the stunned CEO entirely. Their target wasn't the mansion. It was the man walking away at the edge of the drive. "Sergeant Harris," the lead officer called out, voice cutting through the wind. The veteran stopped and turned slowly, his face shifted from confusion to disbelief. "Yes, sir," he answered. "We've been looking for you," the officer said. "Pentagon sent us. Executive Order 14,203 just passed. You're being recalled for mission-critical review and recognition. You're needed." The CEO's jaw dropped. "Wait, what? You can't just take someone off my property." The officer turned calmly. "This man is a decorated combat veteran who saved 6 lives during Operation Anvil in 2009, including mine. You're standing on your lawn because men like him bled on theirs." The CEO sputtered, pointing a shaking finger. "He's homeless. He's trespassing. I want him arrested." The officer stepped closer, his voice colder now. "He's not trespassing. He's being extracted." Then to the guards, "Stand down." Sergeant Harris was helped into the chopper by one of the younger soldiers, who offered him a salute before he even took a seat. A medic handed him a clean field jacket. Another officer knelt to pick up the medals that had slipped from his grasp. For the first time in years, he was seen, not as a burden, not as an embarrassment, as a brother. The CEO could only watch as the Blackhawk lifted off, tearing through the sky, rising above the mansion that now looked smaller, emptier. His expensive suit was covered in dirt and grass from the rotor wash, and his expression was no longer superior. It was exposure. Because no amount of money could erase what had just been witnessed. What he didn't know was that someone had recorded the entire thing from the sidewalk. The clip went viral within hours. The caption read, "He spat on a veteran." 5 minutes later, justice landed on his lawn. Millions watched, millions wept. Some were angry, most were inspired. And Sergeant Harris, he didn't ask for attention, he just kept the field jacket, and for the first time in years, he slept in a warm bed that night, on a base where his name still meant something. Because dignity can't be bought, it's earned. And sometimes it comes roaring back from the sky to remind the world what honor really looks like. Before we end this story, let us know in the comment, where are you watching from? If this story touched you, subscribe the channel and hit that like button and drop a karma in the comments below.